And no, it is not all black among the blacks. Um, I'm rather joking about this, but in substance, I certainly use this opportunity to, whenever I can, bring forward this slap, because I think they have just overdone it. I think it has been overdone in some kind of numb and out of authority way, out of certification and out of entitlement. And I think that no one, no matter what is the skin color, have right to trash their own rooting and their own history like that. Any civilization and any culture should have its hierarchy and should be living respectfully upon the development of that hierarchy within the sense of some kind of ongoing cultural and cultural and civilizational development. No matter is it going slower or is it behind the rest, you still need to walk the pathway and build healthy structure, because if you miss that paths, you're wasting your time. You have to build yourself within the normative of what means building yourself. My power is mental, not physical. And I was never thinking of myself as a physical person. It came to huge surprise, to find out that my family was thinking of me as more a physical person. And were expecting me, therefore, to be to get my place as a physical person. It was harder to understand or accept such place they have given to me, considering the fact that I have been always not only a high accomplisher, but also very much actually disciplined, organized, and above all, I was having developed ethic and morale of actual pathway of accomplishment. I was delivering the entire charting of what means of basically building a civilization. I was a recipe book of building a civilization. I also certainly deliver the most sophisticated voice out of any family member out there. My voice is the most refined. My nature is certainly equally very much refined, to the extent that they ended up to call me a fool or crazy woman, or crazy because I allow people obviously to go away with something. That is because, due to my rather refined and built-up nature, where rather you find that statement of Jesus, forgive them as they don't know what they're doing. There was always in me some element of authoritative approach. I certainly very often would find myself patronizing people without being even aware of it. But and that is because I always worked out my right to command a situation, and you command a situation when you work on it and when you master it. And because everything that I would do in my life was actually about reaching certain level of mastership, I developed that kind of commanding nature because I was accomplisher. And that is builds in yourself that kind of ego of commanding a situation, as when you become expert in something, when you master something in your life, you develop that kind of commanding nature. And certainly with it would come expectation of things to be delivered in certain quality. And I'm going to say that was rather shrinked in my personality because it got on the surface from a very young age. But certainly it is some kind of unveiled information about all of the layers of our DNA. And what I want to say, although we bring obviously with ourselves the roots of our earlier DNA records within ourselves, still where we are is what we have accomplished on the other side of the equation. As that is the journey that we do here on this earth, each of us on any level, wherever we are, we have that tale of the past. If we are lucky enough, if you are lucky enough to be respectful to it, to be aware of it, and to know how to synchronize it with your present aspirations, you are a person that is doing things correctly. And if you cut out the past and you act as some kind of artificial molecule out there, then you are a poorer person. I have been always aware of my that my strength is in my persistency and my and my pride, should I say, my pride or sense of of dignity and integrity that is more like genetic. It was my character, which was rather stubborn and very often rather persistent. My secret weapon and sense that was giving me that kind of sense of power, but also my ability to respect the one that are higher ranking, because being accomplisher meant to reach something that someone already accomplished, being respectful to institutional order, and bringing through it that level of moral and ethics in way of respecting not just the accomplishers, but also embodied in my entire being was respect for older, for grandfather, grandmother, for parents, that kind of rather patriarchal sentiment that I have embodied in my character, and I'm also very fond and proud of it. And very often I say all civilizations with a suitable degree of curiosity, as any normal, intelligent human being, I suppose, would be. Not with 100% acceptance, because I don't think that is intelligent, but certainly with recognizing someone's integrity and someone's existence without now diving too much into any single aspect of living on this earth. But that kind of respect for the previous, it is very much embodied somehow subconsciously in my character, and I think that is what builds in you a respectful person, because you have capacity to notice respectfully the previous as much as you bring critical approach, and you want to bring your own presence and your own answers. And recognizing at the same time the civilizational normatives, where they are very, very often bringing your intelligence within some kind of adventurous youth level as well. Always thirsty for some kind of new voice, new sound, new answers, jumping always where it is the latest vibe, carefully, of course, always in control, always trying to dominate it and to excel it rather to be victim of it. That would be my approach. That is where I am. I'm going to conclude, therefore, my strength is mental, not physical. And I have been always aware of it, because subconsciously I was building it, subconsciously. I was just obviously just being, happening, responding to in the new life situation subconsciously, and rather happening again, I would say, respecting some kind of core value system, and driving by it. So what I want to say is, I cannot align with how where our Maori is today in New Zealand, but I'm certainly proudly recognizing ancestry there via my father, as I understand, was having some kind of connection with New Zealand, to my grand surprise. I just recently become aware. I can't even get even close to understanding the size of his alignment with New Zealand, which for me it is more like literally Alice going in a wonderland now. Again, fully respecting, completely respectful, totally respectful. In the name of my grandparents as well, completely respectful. But I'm not sold to it. It's not like I'm just going to disappear into it, because that's not how integrity exists. I am here to enclose myself, to stand next to my father and to say, and this is my brother and my sister, so we are now some kind of continuation of my father. I don't know how much you now understand that, or how you're going to relate to it, or I don't know, like it or don't like it or whatever. But we are in that lineage here, and I am here willing to respect your existence, but I'm not submitting to it. It's not like I'm going to disappear into it. You have to also understand what I'm talking about here. And what I'm talking is that the layers that I bring in my characters are associated to certain accomplishments that happened on some other territories out there, which today equally are completely lost in any standard of how they're supposed to relate to characters of my kind. I have impression that they're noticing people as myself for the first time in my life. And as much as I'm troubled to introduce myself as I am to that world, I have equally trouble to explain myself to this world as well. As much as I need to explain to this much more tail mark world that I have ahead as well, I need to explain to that world out there that I have tail as well, and that tail is mine, not someone else's. And they cannot call themselves driving me and my tail, because I have complete control of my A to Z identity, and I don't want someone to drive or to think that they can drive me, or that they should drive me. So I'm going to notice my ancestors, that I have equally very big problem now on the northern hemisphere, where there is entire avalanche of intermediaries, what entire Europe ended to be rather than creator. Today they all become some kind of intermediaries, either being gallery owners or bank owners or financial system owners, or they're all kind of piping it rather than being. And I'm still going to revoke someone at some point of time found himself sitting in England at the given time, 16th century, 17th century, speaking to be or not to be. But then in 21st century, 20th century, we have Murdoch families out there driving the dragon. Driving the dragon. Murdoch family of Israel. Playing number one intermediary, while in the same time speaking about God. Of Yahovah. In Serb language, Yahovah means Yahaova, which means riding it. that would translate to someone obviously driving, in modern language, driving the cars or driving the, I don't know, whatever out there. Driving bicycle, driving locomotive, driving blah, 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 and blah, and blah, blah. And blah, Israel. Today, on the top of all of the extraction industry of the planet. So my ancestors, I have that problem. And I need to connect the two worlds here. So it's out of question I'm going to deny all the older tribes. Out of question. But if they are going to get forward here and say, nothing of this later matters. We are the rulers of the universe in all of the times. I can't understand that as well. I mean, that cannot be accepted as well. Like, we are the parents and we are the rulers because we understand the nature and how the nature works. Well, I think I understand it enough. And translates into ability to bring your energy, all of your honor, pride, into form of gratitude and thankfulness. Appreciation, rather. Not like now falling my spine that much, but certainly appreciating something by bringing yourself in the best possible. That's how I understand appreciating, by bringing myself in the best possible way. Just to understand, someone was willing to slap me for it because I'm not supposed to bring myself in the best possible way. I was thinking I'm being respectful. I mean, I bring in myself in the best possible way. I respect something. I'm being respectful. Like, you make up for occasion, it is because you respect occasion. You're a accomplisher because you respect civilization, respect environment. You think as people around you are doing something, so you are respecting it. And they end up laughing behind your back, which means they're not obviously respecting you. I mean, they're not respecting the environment. Now here it is, me. I'm trying here to live my life, and everyone around me is laughing upon it. What, I'm here, a fool, a kakadu? I don't know how to live my life or something? I don't have right to it, or what's the problem? Or I'm paying too much, I'm giving too much, I'm respecting it too much, as I'm not supposed to be that much respectful, you want to say? Are you trying to tell me that I'm not supposed to be so much respectful? Seriously. Based on what kind of normative? And so you're talking now. I'm not supposed to be respectful based on what normative? I'm not supposed to be respectful. Seriously. Well, I have lived enough to be capable completely to make laughter out of such statements anytime I want. No, I don't have that much time for some kind of street level of arguing. Now, let's focus on where I want to bring the point of my present discussion today, and that is that at the point of north hemisphere, the civilizational development like that, it does not exist in a continuation. There is a breaking point, and where things start from ground zero, yet without actually happening as a ground zero event. And that is artificial situation. That is happening when you start speaking about the beginnings of the time with book that has been written somewhere around ground zero, time zero, something after time zero, after Jesus in Jerusalem, and somehow the entire northern hemisphere get round up on that kind of improvised consciousness about own existence that goes as that far as the time of Jesus, and it doesn't go beyond, because they meet God at that point, at that time. Somehow, somewhere at that point, God, Yahovah, is happening, and from that they are not allowed or permitted to think beyond it, because they end up thinking that they are being given birth, they're being created by that God, and technically they shrink themselves in 2 millenniums old history. Mentally, they think of themselves as old 2 millenniums, and no more than that, even less than 2 millenniums. Although I have heard that they calculate years, or they're living like 7,000 years, which is rather laughable versus millenniums of history written on the planet. I mean, few millenniums. We are talking here certainly much more than 7 millenniums. 7 millenniums is nothing. It's just absolutely nothing for someone to get any serious about discussing of life on this planet. Absolutely nothing. 7 millenniums is nothing, like a joke. My point, these people simply do not go enough on the tail side of the civilization in order to understand themselves and bring themselves in much more acceptance mode or appreciation mode with the rest of the civilizations on the planet. They start building the walls, and they starting hiding behind the walls as they can exist independent, or as they know how to live in isolation, and then they end up with all sorts of cancers and all sorts of the rest of the diseases, because these people that hide themselves behind the walls actually do not know how to live by themselves. They cut out themselves from the way how they're supposed to eat their food. They cut out themselves from the way how they're supposed to live their lives. I'm talking, of course, within some kind of evolutionary lineage, but if you don't bring within yourself that kind of integrity of understanding the life, and that kind of respectfulness within your character of that kind of profound morale, profound ethic that you bring within this kind of respectfulness of the nature of ancestors, of the living energies, living forces, and then trying to find your answers. If you don't bring yourself in that kind of complexity of that level of finding God in all of these dimensions of life, and God being basically this entire concept of all of the aspects of what life is. If you're not enough within that kind of life energy related respectfulness and mental configuration, you end up in a chamber. You end up isolated in a chamber, in boxed, detached, and prone to various social experiments, medical experiments, all sorts of experiments done by yourself, by your kind of people, over yourself. I'm going to find for Israel and for Northern Hemisphere that is happening at the point of accepting Yahovah and stop thinking your own mind, or allowing someone to erase your mind, as you're not enough human being yourself, as you're not enough capable to think by yourself. Nature does not happen like that. Living in the nature does not happen like that. The way how you have allowed God to exist in Northern Hemisphere is wrong approach to life, living energy, and to our history. And here, of course, I'm going to find as very much fortunate that I can call to Maoris, for example, in New Zealand anytime to prove to you that nothing starts from your Yahovah on this earth, Jewish people. And of course, they themselves say, the more intelligent one, of course, that in the substance it is about celebrating the nature. Of course, the more intelligent among them recognize that the entire language, entire rhetoric in Jewish language is actually celebrating and talking about nature. However, fact is that in 20th century you find people dancing around the fire or around some kind of holy bull out there, Baphomet or whatever, holding the Star of Israel as the beginning of all of the universes, and dancing around the fire with some kind of sense of discovered eternity, will actually exist as complete detached bunch of fools. Excuse me. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. Now, when Maoris are going to see something like that, what they're going to say? Of course, they're going to laugh in your faces. They're going to laugh in your faces. They're going just to joke and laugh in your faces. What else they would be doing? Of course, if they have not been stricken on their back each time. But, excuse me, it can't stand anymore. And then some junkie is going to come here in the name of that Jewishness to play to them God in the house of New Zealand. This is burlesque. Of course it's going to be burlesque. Of course it's going to be burlesque. Of course it's going to be burlesque. Of course they're going to say, excuse me, you're not going to top me up with your foolishness out there. Play mental hospital, play it on your account. You're not going to play mental hospital on my account here. It's just going to be the more foolishness to continue to generate from that center, Israel. They're going to rise more and more. At the end, they're just going to walk over you as you're nothing. Because these people stupid or not. Because these people here are not stupid. For quite some time, there is enough education here available, enough literature, with this mobile industry, internet. There's new generations. In their 30s already, after the computer technology, already they're in their 30s, 20-something 30s. Not going to make fool out of them anymore. Excuse me, it's time to change rhetoric. And what on earth do you think you're doing out there? Going to drive me now? Some Israel, more Israel than I am? Oh, her hair is not more curly. She's faking it. Yes, she's artificially curling it. She's faking it. Her hair is not more curly than mine. She's faking it. It's going to be more Jewish now so that she can drive me here. I'm the prime asset, she's not. She's defending entire black world out there. Are you going to tell me that Israel is doing that as well? Or I don't know. I have noticed when I'm North Hemisphere, I notice North. I mean, for the sake of being called North Hemisphere. I really don't know. I'm not going to sit on the North Hemisphere and notice blacks. It's not when you look up, it's when you look down. I'm just being logical here. I'm not going to sit on North Hemisphere and speak blacks. On first account, Israel. On first account, forget about it. Israel, forget about it. Now here it is, I'm connecting North and South Pole. Speak of whatever color I want. But, depends on what kind of hierarchical position you want to stand. You're not going to stand on top hierarchical position in Northern Hemisphere with your black umbrella point. That's absurd. It's absurd. Either you bring forward the structure of your entire identity, respectfully recognizing the roots, and then you say, but I also have moved on, or get out from the stage. Yeah, just get out from the stage. If you cannot connect your tail and your head, get out from the stage. But don't call that also capacity to drive someone just because you're half of something. Half of something does not entitle anyone to drive someone that exists as a whole of something, as an entire or something. Half of something does not get entitled to drive something that exists as an entire of something. Especially when that half inclined towards the second half, rather than to first, which is where the head is. I promote whiteness, but I'm not racist. Because I don't have to. I'm not going to be bothered with the rest of the people, what they want to do in their life, what they're doing. I'm just bothered with what I want to do. That's not racism. That's being respecting your own integrity, identity, and please don't step on my territory. That's it. Definition of integrity and the proximity and circle around me. It's not that big at all. People still jump over it like a free lunch or something. I know you're not going to call me whatever you want out there. Excuse me. No. No.